Right, this is a quick summary of the Gettier problem. And we start off with the idea of knowledge, which goes all the way back to Plato. When do I have knowledge? I have knowledge, when does a person have knowledge? A person has knowledge when that person believes or has a belief whose propositional content is true. And that corresponds to what's happening in reality. And that person holds the belief for reasons that are justified in terms of having a good foundation for that belief. Now, Plato puts forward an idea about the inventor Daedalus, the father of Icarus. The inventor Daedalus made statues which were in some way mechanical and could move around. So, have I ever seen a moving statue? No, but it went that way. Even if I take a photograph of a moving statue, it's not a photograph of something that is moving. It's no evidence that we have moving statues. If I really want to demonstrate that I have a moving statue, then I need to anchor my statue in some way so you can actually see it going, bleh, my moving statue. If we can anchor our belief, then we can have knowledge. This is a principle that true belief leads to knowledge, or true belief is knowledge. This is a principle that existed from Plato up to 1963. In 1963, a man called Gettier published a 3-page article, Is Justified Knowledge True Belief? 3-page article. He hasn't really done much since then. So he's really been sitting on his laurels. He's been doing some teaching or something. And in this, he's saying that knowledge may be based on truth and some sort of justified belief, but actually we need something more. Now he gives 2 examples. The 2 examples I want to go through with you now. They're slightly complex, and we're going to try and do some little illustrations to make it clearer. The first one is the Smith and Jones job hunt. Smith has a good idea that Jones will get the job. Jones is better qualified. Jones is not so miserable. Smith's belief is that because he'd seen Jones counting out 10 coins and putting them in his pocket, Smith's belief is that the job will go to somebody who has 10 coins in his pocket. Now, unknown to Smith, Smith has also got 10 coins in his back pocket. So when he gets the job, we can say, did he know that the person who was going to get the job is the person with the 10 coins in his back pocket? Well, he has 10 coins in his back pocket. This is a matter of luck. So to go from belief to knowledge in that particular case, yes, he has belief. Yes, it is true. The fact that he has 10 coins in his back pocket corresponds to reality. Is he justified in his belief that the person who gets the job will have 10 coins in his back pocket? Absolutely. But does he know? Well, it's not knowledge in any genuine sense that we understand it. He was lucky. The second example that Gettier gives is Smith and Jones in Barcelona, same two fellows. Smith believes, or Smith knows, that Jones owns a Ford. Smith believes that Jones owns a Ford, in fact. And to prove this, he puts forward 3 propositions. A, Jones either owns a Ford or he's in Barcelona. B, Jones either owns a Ford or he's in Boston, Massachusetts. Or C, Jones either owns a Ford or he's in Russia. Well, actually, Jones doesn't own a Ford anymore. He sold it. He's got some sort of rental car. And in fact, Jones is in Barcelona watching a bullfight. So, it is true, Proposition A is true, that either Jones owns a Ford or he's in Barcelona. He's in Barcelona. It's a belief. It's true. And it's justified. The proposition, either or, is absolutely justified. But does Smith really have knowledge? Are his beliefs connected to reality? In fact, again, he just became lucky. Now, knowledge is a valuable term. Knowledge is a value concept. It's something that we want. The problem with these two propositions put forward by Gettier is that they start with false premises. Each example begins with a false premise. There's one more I can give you which is in the same line about know got and have it. This comes from a man called Keith Lehrer, like Tom Lehrer, but without the humour. There's an office manager, and he's got a number of employees. One is called No Got, who's very dapper, wonderful hair, and the other one is called Have It, who's very messy, really bad hair. One day, a snazzy new car appears in the office parking lot, and the office manager wonders who has got this snazzy new car. Mr. No Got is a bit of a rotter. He's a sort of traditional bounder, and he appears with a set of car keys and a logbook. So as far as we can see, the snazzy new car, which is possibly the car that was sold by Jones, and when Jones went off to Barcelona, snazzy new Ford maybe. So the office manager might believe that the car belongs to No Got, but in fact the car belongs to Have It, the messy fellow. The messy fellow, in fact, has a snazzy new car. Now, if the office manager knows, therefore, that somebody who works in the office owns a snazzy new car, he also believes that it's No Got's. Is this an example of knowledge? Absolutely not. Again, it's an example, well, in this particular case, an example of deception. So look at those three examples. Jones owns a Ford, or does he? Jones got a job, or did he? No Got has got a snazzy car, or has he? We can say that the justified true belief needs to be qualified by adding a principle that we mustn't have any false belief. Now we can simply move to another approach to the Gettier problems by talking about false perception. Here we're looking at Carl Genet or Alvin Goldman. There's a thing about the fake barn scenario. This seems very complicated. Apparently there might be a place where people make papier-mâché barns for some sort of competition, and some tourists are motoring down the road and they see all these papier-mâché barns. Of course, they're very lifelike. And then they see one barn and they say, oh, what a beautiful, realistic barn. Now, this happened, the barn that they've chosen happens to be the only genuinely realistic barn in the area. Again, is this knowledge they have? Or is it in fact a matter of luck? It's also incidentally, the problem there is not a false premise, but false perception, or rather a lack of an ability to distinguish between what is true and what is not true in terms of perception. Because there's no way, given the quality of the papier-mâché barns, that these tourists could have told the difference between the fake barns and the real difference simply by looking. Now there's a story of Roderick Chisholm's dog. So you imagine a dog who's wearing sheep's clothing, rather like the nursery rhyme. And somebody sees the dog in a field. They believe there is a sheep in the field, because they see the dog in sheep's clothing from behind. There is a sheep in the field. Now, in fact, behind the hedge, or behind the ha-ha, if we're in an English country house, there is indeed a sheep, a real sheep. So the belief that there is a sheep in the field is true. The person who is looking is justified because there is a sheep in the field. But is it knowledge? Is that jump from belief to knowledge accurate? There's also the story about the farmer with his beloved cow. The farmer looks every day outside the window to see his cow chewing the cud by the hedge, black and white cow. One day, some paper has blown onto the hedge, and in fact what he sees is the copy of the Times. But this farmer is extraordinarily myopic. He can't really tell the difference between a copy of the Times and a cow chewing the cud. So he looks out of his window and says, "Oh, thank God the cow is in the field," because he sees this black and white object by the tree. In fact, the cow is behind the tree. The cow is in the field. The cow is by the tree. The farmer cannot see the cow. What the farmer thinks is the cow is in fact a copy of the Times. Very easy mistake, I'm sure. So again, that leap from belief to knowledge doesn't really work.